I've been working as a crime scene cleaner for almost 15 years now. Last week I was hired to clean up what seemed to have been an apparent suicide. A man, reportedly 30 years old, had carved a hole into a door by repeatedly hitting with a plank which he had ripped off of his bed, and then slammed his eye onto a sharp spike or a stake that was created by the door. His body was not discovered until over a month later, when his landlord sent a wellness check to his house after he had not paid his rent for over a week. His payments were always on time, and he had also failed to respond to any of the landlord's texts or phone calls. Poor guy didn't have any family or friends who could check up on him, which I guess is another fact that points towards what happened to him being a The job itself was not too bad. Well, at least it was not as bad as most cases like these are. Thankfully, the door was already removed, and the man's corpse had been sent off for an autopsy just in case of a possible homicide. While there weren't any signs of a forced entry, the man's bedroom, which he was found in, had been totally trashed. A desk had been flipped onto its side with a few books, a laptop, and a cup of coffee laying on the floor beside it. The coffee that was spilled from the cup stained a small circular off-white rug that lay in the middle of the room. The color of the stain matched the color of the rotting bodily fluids that flowed from the man's final resting place to the rug. The man's bed, too, had been flipped upside down and had one of its legs removed, which, as I previously mentioned, was used to carve a hole into the bedroom door. The room itself did not have any windows, which further increased the speed and severity of his decomposition. The bodily fluids and pus, which ranged in color from dark brown to yellow, had leaked from his bloated corpse and had spread around the room in a shape that somewhat resembled a spider web. At the end of one of these tiny rivers of gore was a single small notebook. Most of the notebook was untouched by the rotting human remains, except for the bottom right corner of the last few pages. The journal was started a few days before the presumed date of the man's death, and did not have anything of substance written in it, at least up until around 5 pages in. Entry 1. I started hearing the knocking like an hour ago at this point. At first, the knocks were so distant from one another that I thought it was my mind playing tricks on me, but now it's constant. Whoever's on the other side has been knocking non-stop without even a few second breaks for half an hour now, and it sounds like the interval between knocks is getting shorter. At this point, I think I have to intervene for a few seconds to mention that the autopsy results did not show any signs of drug use, and an entry early in the journal mentioned that the only mental illness he had was OCD, caused by childhood trauma that was caused by a break-in that led to the death of his mother. I also apologize for repeatedly referring to the man as the man, but for privacy reasons I cannot give his name. Entry 2. It's been 5 minutes now, and the knocking still has not stopped yet. In fact, it has gotten worse. Not just the speed, but also the strength at which the door is being hit. At any point now, I think they'll break the door, and I don't have anywhere to hide. Thank God my paranoid ass installed that lock. Entry 3. It's been another hour. At least I think. My computer's completely stopped working a few minutes after the knocking began. The knocking has been getting even worse. The door is shaking so much that I'm impressed it has not fully fallen out of its hinges yet. Entry 4. Fuck it. I'm opening the door. I've been in this fucking room listening to the knocking for God knows how long. It feels like it's been hours since I last wrote in here. Entry 5. I can't open the door. First, I called out to whoever's on the other side, hoping that I could bargain with them, but I didn't get a response. I unlocked the door and tried to pull it open, but it wouldn't budge. I pulled on the doorknob with as much power as I could muster, but still it wouldn't budge. Entry 6. I didn't think that the knocking could get worse, but somehow it did. Now, instead of distinct banging sounds that came right after each other, the knocks have turned into a single non-stop hum. Entry 7. I can't keep doing this. I think a whole day has passed. I'm breaking the door down. Entry 8. There's another door. At first I tried to break the door down just by running into it and punching it with no success. Then, I tried to break off a leg off of my desk, once again with no success. But finally, I tipped my bed over and broke off a leg. I repeatedly slammed the leg into the door, slowly chipping off small chunks of wood. Before I got through the door and saw what lay on the other side, I took a deep breath. Looking through the small, lightning-shaped hole I had created, I saw the door to my bedroom just mere inches from the one I had broken through. Entry 9. There's more of them. I carved the hole I created in the first door into the circle and then started working on the second door. Once I broke through that one, I was once again met with the same white door with the brownish gold-colored doorknob. None of the doorknobs work, neither for the inside nor the outside. The knocking has not stopped yet. Entry 10. I'm 5 doors in at this point and have to contort my body and slightly climb into the tunnel I have created to continue digging. I don't understand what is happening, and I try not to think about it. If I think about it, I'll get too scared to keep going, and this is something I don't want to abandon. I think I'll get the answers on the other side. Entry 11. I think I'm on door 25 at this point, and I'm slowly running out of energy to crawl back. The next time that I go in there will be my last, and I'll either die of starvation and exhaustion or reach the other side. No matter what, I don't think things going back to normal is possible now. Goodbye. That's the last of his entries. I don't know what to make of any of this, so I thought that I'd post about it here in an attempt to get an answer, or at least some guidance to what the fuck could have happened to him. Any information that you might have will be appreciated. I might not be able to respond to comments for the next few hours or so because I'm going out on a date with my girlfriend. I just heard her knock on my door. My wife shakes me so hard, I wake with a sharp grunt. She's sitting bolt upright in bed. I turn my head towards her. My eyes wrinkle from sleep and confusion. Her eyes are unblinking, terrified and transfixed on something at the foot of our bed. I sit up, rubbing my eyes as they adjust to the early morning light. The white curtains ripple gently with a slight breeze, hiding the promise of a beautiful summer's day. Then I see the thing at the foot of our bed. My wife and I remain frozen. At first I'm paralyzed. Quickly my fear turns to anger. I grab my sheets and motion to get out of bed. Suddenly I'm frozen solid by fear again as I take a closer look at the thing. The figure is tall, lean, and lanky. It has the proportions of a large simian. Its long arms stretch all the way to the ground, and its hands lie limply on the wooden floor. Each hand ends in 5 deadly claws with wicked sharp points. The thing is black as pitch, and I can't tell if it has dark, burnt skin or if it's made from a wholly otherworldly substance. Its mouth is large and stretched into a horrific grin. Its jagged teeth are unnaturally white, and it bears them with a menacing glee. Its ears taper off into subtle points like that of an elf, and it has long, straggly black hair that is clumped and caked together by some brown material I do not wish to think about. My brain is confused by this impossible sight, and my mind goes blank. I thought it has to be a joke, but I can smell the thing. It has a smell that could not be produced by anything living, anything natural. I'm so utterly confused still. Something like this cannot exist. How is it here on some random summer's morning, standing here in plain daylight? These kinds of things only happen at night. There have been no other signs, no strange, unexplained moving of objects, strange sounds, eerie smells, and cold patches. We have not read from any weird books, played with Ouija boards, or been cursed, but there it stands, grinning at us, not moving a single limb. I suddenly notice the silence. It is so eerily quiet right now, but how? Nearly every day this summer, the neighbors were either cutting down trees or letting their dogs and children run about and scream and bark and play, much to my chagrin. Yet now the air is thick with silence. Where are the neighbors? In fact, where are the birds? There were always birds chirping loudly outside at this time. Has something happened to them? Sweat pours down my forehead. The thing is standing so still, so silent. I hear my heart pounding, and my breathing becomes quick and shallow. Whatever this thing is, it's simply not possible. I begin to shake. I move my hand towards my wife slowly. I do not break my gaze on the thing. I stare at its eyes. They are large, white, and milky, dead. My breath comes out hard and fast. As I grab my wife, she jumps slightly, but does not turn her head away from the thing. Her face is twisted with terror, and her face is pale as snow. She trembles as she squeezes my hand so tight it goes numb, and my fingers turn white. All I think about is getting away from this thing. I start to whisper to my wife when the thing slowly raises a long, thin claw to its mouth. Its lips purse as a noise that does not belong to our world hisses out, "Shh." Its voice sounds slippery, slimy, squelchy. It sounds like something as it's swallowed by a peat bog. I freeze. My heart freezes. My blood freezes. My wife is clenching so tight my hand feels like it's being crushed. I tug at her chin and gesture for her to follow me. Slowly and silently, eyes glued on the thing, we step out of bed. As we do, I grab my keys from the bedside table. I then notice my wife and I are still in our summer pajamas. Strangely, with stress pressing on my mind from all sides, I am suddenly more worried about being found dead in my Spider-Man pajamas than anything else. I chuckle quietly and hysterically at this random and inappropriate thought as we run barefoot from our bedroom. It's in the corridor. Shit, it's in the corridor now. It didn't make a sound. I turn back to the bedroom. It's gone. It has moved. Without walking or scuttling or running, it can travel from place to place without needing to move. Does that mean there is just one of them? My heart is beating so fast I feel dizzy. It stands at the entrance to the bathroom, just to our right as we exit the bedroom. The curtains undulate gently as a summer breeze blows through the open bathroom window. The smell carried by this zephyr nearly burns off my nose. It is so wretched. The grip I had on my wife is now more desperate. There is no avoiding it. We have to run right by this thing to get to the front door. My stomach drops and my vision swims from fright. We run past it. The smell gets so much worse. It reaches out its clawed hand and caresses my face softly as we bound down the hall. My wife and I fight back tears. My mind is in tatters. All I can see now is the front door. I rip it open and tear through the door, wife in hand, into the warm morning air. We don't close or lock the door. The air is humid and sticky. It is hard to breathe. My chest is burning as we sprint to our little green car and leap inside. It's in the driveway. It's in the driveway. How could this be possible? What the hell is this thing standing, grinning in the blaring morning sun? I start the car as my wife and I buckle our seatbelts. The thing just stands as still as before, smiling that disturbing smile. My eyes pour out tears from pure stress and fear. I'm sobbing, and my wife is near catatonia. I slam my foot on the accelerator, and we take off straight for the thing. It jumps nimbly to one side, grinning like the Cheshire Cat, and just as eerily graceful. As we reach the gate, I don't check for cars. I don't care. We live in a small mountain village, and I take our chances. I swivel my head around to stare at the thing as it stands in the driveway, staring at us, unblinking, smiling. I stare at it in turn as I drive the car around a corner and watch the thing disappear as we move down the road. I continue to stare out the back window, so sure I will see it bounding after us, using its arms to run like a gorilla. But I see nothing. I turn my head slowly to face the front window. My heartbeat begins to ease. Momentarily, my wife and I are silent, but soon we are screaming from stress and fear, tears flooding our faces. My wife turns to me and cries out, "What the hell was that thing?" It suddenly smells horrible in the car. Shh. My blood ignites with fear. It's the thing's voice, coming from the seat behind my wife. We freeze and fall immediately silent. Fighting back our own whimpering, slowly we turn. It's in the car. It's on the back seat. It's in the car now. Suddenly, I hear a noise and turn back to face the road to see that I've crossed lanes completely, a small BMW heading straight for me. I yell and make a sharp turn back towards my lane, my heart in my throat. As we return to the correct side of the road, I see the thing reach out a hand to my wife. It slashes her just once across her chest and neck, and it's so fast I just see a blur and then blood. Scarlet gore spurts from my wife in pressurized pulses. I watch her bleed and gurgle. She grabs my hand, but it quickly goes limp. "I told you to shh," says the thing, that voice so beyond natural, it sounds like a swamp trying to speak. I am dead and numb. I cry out in terror and anguish. Anger, spite, and vengeance quickly explode to life in my brain, vaporizing all traces of fear. I veer the car towards a cliff. We fly off of it and into a precipice. The thing just grins as we fall. The cops don't believe me. I have survived the crash. My wife is dead, and they think it was me somehow. I lie and tell them a wild animal got in the car, killed my wife and forced me off the road. They shake their heads. Suddenly, there's a bang. A car outside the hospital has backfired. Momentarily, the cops and nurses are distracted. I steal a scalpel quickly and hide it under my mattress. It's nighttime now. I am alone. I can see it outside the hospital. It stands and grins up at me. I clench the scalpel in my bandaged, shaking hand. I lie in bed, and I hold my breath. It's in my room now. It's here,